Hey guys, Darkovika here, and I wanted to do that thing that nobody asked for and give my opinion on the internet. A lot of people have been enjoying doing this on YouTube. They create a tier, a sort of like tier thing on this thing called Tier Maker or something like that, and they rate something. So, I decided if there's one thing that I could potentially rate, that would be Kingdom Hearts games, right? And as for a lot of people who've been on my channel for a very long time, you guys know that I am obsessed with Kingdom Hearts. I grew up with it. I used to look for the commercials on Toonami. Kingdom Hearts was my everything. I would play this game repeatedly, nonstop, over and over and over again, especially the first one. The first one I know inside and out like the back of my hand. But that's just how that is. That's me in a nutshell. So I went ahead and zoomed in a little bit here. Oh, that's much better, isn't it? Now we can actually see it in a normal fashion. So I've changed the ratings. I don't know why I went with this particular theme, but instead of the usual letters, we have the following tiers. The best tier, which is the favorite child. The second tier, which is they're not flaws, they're quirks. And then the third tier, which is we forgive our family's flaws, so we're acknowledging that they are flaws, but they are still family, and therefore we forgive them. Then we have this one, which is invite out for parties once every 6 months because you need a long break between hangouts. You know the type of people I'm talking about. You still love them, however, they are the type of people that need some space in between hangouts so that you can sort of, breathe for a bit. And then we have the next tier, which is acting out for attention. You have no feelings, but you also know that they're kind of annoying. They're kind of making you upset. They sure do want a whole lot of attention. You know what I'm talking about. Love them from a great, great, great distance. So never see them. Just sort of, they're over there. You recognize that they exist. You still care. You just can't be around them. And finally, we disown them because they hurt us and sometimes scare us. That's my rating system. In other words, just S, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and meet our contenders down here. We have Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Recoded, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, a Fragmentary Passage, Union Key, and of course, Kingdom Hearts 3. I put these in relative release order. I didn't look up what the release order was. I just sort of went, yeah, I think this is when they all released. Ish. I can't remember if Kingdom Hearts 2 came after. No, it definitely did not come after 358 Days Over 2. There's no way. I don't know why I said that. That was a lie. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to start with the best of the best, which is Kingdom Hearts 1, the starter. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a bit of a rough game, especially considering, like the original version. There was some funkiness with the keys. There's always been a little bit of jankiness with the style of Kingdom Hearts, especially considering, to use items, you have to go down the action list and select items and stuff like that. So if you were looking to use like potions and stuff, unless you put it to the hotkeys, you kind of were running away screaming at the top of your lungs while trying to navigate to the items menu and not die at the same time. So in terms of gameplay, Kingdom Hearts 1 is a little rough around the edges. In terms of story, look, we'll pretend that Kingdom Hearts is not story problematic, and we'll pretend that everybody knows what's happening. I'm just gonna put that there for now. That's not where that's going. We're gonna put Kingdom Hearts 1 in they're not flaws, they're quirks. Because, or are we? Kingdom Hearts 1 is like I said, it's a bit of a tough game, right? It is the beauty that started it all. If we look at if we're judging based off of how the games are right now, right, with like Final Mix is really good. Like it's very easy to play. I will say I was not a fan of the gummy ship section of the game. I was like, I could do without it. Maybe I'll put it in we forgive our family's flaws. I think that's where I'll put that. Chain of Memories. Okay, I did a live stream of Chain of Memories, And as we can all remember, I had completed that game from start to finish on both Sora and Riku on the hardest possible difficulty that I could do in Chain of Memories on the PS4. So it wasn't even the Game Boy version. I love Chain of Memories. It is a very strong love-hate relationship. I think I'm going to pop that out and acting out for attention because, oh boy, if you aren't playing on the hardest difficulty, it's potentially a lot better to deal with. Like, it's fun. It's a little repetitive and a little grindy, and there's some strategy to it because obviously you have decks of cards that you're working with, and, it's not as easy as just bashing a button and getting through the game, even though that's basically how I completed it. Chain of Memories is a hot mess. Story-wise, it's a little confusing. Gameplay-wise, it is just a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But I still don't hate it enough to pop it in. We disown them because they hurt us and sometimes scare us. So we're going to put it out in acting out for attention. Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm just going to put that there for now just so that I can get to the top. Kingdom Hearts 2 is going in. They're not flaws, they're quirks. There are some things about Kingdom Hearts 2 that I still am not like totally sold on. I again was not a huge fan of the gummy ship stuff. I mean, it was kind of cool sometimes, but most of the time I just tried to pretend the gummy ships didn't exist. But there's obviously some gameplay elements to Kingdom Hearts 2 that are just the best. And the only thing keeping me from putting it in the favorite child is simply because summons were really bizarre. I never used them. You guys remember this. You remember when I played. I never used summons in Kingdom Hearts 2. I didn't really use them in Kingdom Hearts 1 either, to be fair. But Kingdom Hearts 2 in particular, like, there were just so much stuff that I didn't really use almost ever. And it has my most favorite iteration of Riku. I will say that. Just mwah on the Riku front, but also, let's not talk about that final boss. 358 Days Over 2. I think, not there. Don't do that. Okay, I think I'm going to put 358 Days Over 2 and We Forgive Our Family's Flaws because, and some of this might change as I go forward because obviously I'm looking at these games as I go. 358 Days Over 2 is one of my most favorites, okay? I love it. The gameplay drove me insane, okay? It wasn't good. It was a mixture of, like, the deck building and, like slots. You had slots for abilities, and you were basically playing Tetris with, like, Keyblade loadouts, trying to fit abilities and items. I can't explain the gameplay of 358 Days Over 2. It was weird. It was really hard, even on like easy mode, because it wasn't intuitive, but the story is so good. And then like they went and took 358 Days Over 2 and instead of revamping it and like, I don't know, like straight Chain of Memoriesing it, I would have loved a remake of the gameplay too, like in an actual console mode. I feel like it would have gone better than on the DS, but like they didn't. They just made it a movie, and I'm sad by that. Okay, it was my favorite game. I really loved it. And as much as it is a really good story with with all the cutscenes, you don't get the same feeling. You don't get the same connection to all of the Organization 13 members in the movie that you do with actual Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. Because in the game, you go with them on missions. You're actually with Organization 13 members, and they really didn't capture that with the cutscenes. And even though you can see his journal entries and stuff, and he talks about doing things with Larxene and Marluxia and all of the others, it's not the same. It's really not. So I'm just gonna leave that there. Unfortunately, this brings me to Recoded. This is the only Kingdom Hearts game that I have not played, actually. I really don't know what the story is, except that it's kind of like, it's somewhat integral to the plot, but also not. I have played it, and the gameplay is pretty solid. So I think I'm going to pop this down just smack in the middle, because I really don't know much about Recoded. The gameplay is solid. I do remember that it was very intuitive. It was very easy. It was definitely not 358 Days Over 2, but the story if I remember, from what I recall from the bit of Recoded that I played, it really was just sort of like filler. You know, like the 358 Days Over 2 took your heart out, smashed it into a million pieces, froze those pieces, ground them in a blender, and then like ate it, shat it out, and smashed it with a hammer again. Like that's what 358 Days Over 2 did to you. Recoded was like, I don't know, the world in a journal, which the journal is apparently a computer and the data gets corrupted and you have to go in as like a fake Sora and then you meet fake Riku, and we're just gonna put it in the middle. It just exists. Birth by Sleep. Okay, that's not where it's going. Birth by Sleep is the favorite child. We all know this. Birth by Sleep has the best gameplay hands down. The story is really good. It has the best longevity because the game is long, but you have to play it, I think, 3 or 4 times to get the entire story out of it. We completed Terra's story in live streams, and we were just starting Aqua's, I think, maybe? No, we were starting Ven's. We were starting Ventus's, I remember now. And it was just and it was incredible. The music was great. The gameplay was like the same as Crisis Core, which frankly to me should be what all Final Fantasy games are. Crisis Core was so much fun. Okay, maybe not. It wasn't perfect. I think Birth by Sleep is the perfected version of Crisis Core because the gameplay was so good. And melding materia together to make new materia was just like, I mean, it wasn't materia, obviously, because this wasn't Crisis Core, but it was so fun. It was so good. There was so much to collect and do in Birth by Sleep, and it was all actually fun. Let's not talk about the board game. The board game was kind of weird. We will talk about the rhythm game because I like rhythm games. So the ice cream game is good by me. We won't talk about the racing game. That's how I feel. I have some thoughts on Dream Drop Distance. I like Dream Drop Distance. I really do. It was a little weird. I think I will put Dream Drop Distance and invite out for parties once every 6 months because you need a long break between hangouts. It was a beautiful game. It was very fun. I got to play as the love of my life, Riku. Give me more of that, Nomura. Why did you take that away from us? They gave it to us in Dream Drop Distance and then took it away from us in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm upset by this. Riku was like so much fun because maybe I might pop this into We Forgive Our Family's Flaws because Riku's character development in Dream Drop Distance was mwah. They made him so awkward, and it made sense because our poor boy has been living in darkness for literally like 7 games, okay? This poor child has not had any social interaction outside of people who have also not had social interaction. Looking at you, Diz, you messed up human being. Riku was a treasure in Dream Drop Distance, and I'm very salty about quite a few things. You know, we're just, it's upgraded. They're not flaws, they're quirks. Okay, I like Dream Drop Distance. Even though some of the gameplay was a little hinky, I like Dream Drop Distance. One of my favorite worlds, which I really did not expect, was the Three Musketeers world, or Mouseketeers, obviously. I don't know what it was about that I really enjoyed. I also was very excited to be able to have a unicorn and a Pegasus. I did not care about min-maxing stats. I beat that game with a unicorn and a Pegasus. Could have had a T-Rex. Didn't. I had a unicorn and a Pegasus, and I named the unicorn Celestia, and I named Pegasus Luna, because even though I didn't have a My Little Pony phase, it was too close. It was a purple unicorn Pegasus. No, it was a purple unicorn and a bright white Pegasus, and you know what? The similarities were there, and I couldn't resist. So that's where that's going. All right, Fragmentary Passage was, hang on, that's not going there. I'm gonna put that in favorite child as well. Am I? Fragmentary Passage was really cool. Its story was a little odd. It was also very short, but the gameplay was super solid. No, you know what? I'm gonna put it here. The graphics were a little weird. And then the dress up bit with Aqua was a little weird to me. Why were we able to give her like cat ears? It was just, why? I'm not like totally complaining, but like, was that just like her losing her mind and thinking that she had cat ears? I don't know. So I liked Fragmentary Passage. It was very cool. It is a very interesting connection between like all of the games to figure out what Aqua's been doing all this time. And just a very interesting experience all around. Union Key. I'm putting them in love them from a great, great, great distance. Okay. Union Key is a time. What's sad is it is required for the storyline. Those people who are not playing Union Key, when they reached a certain point, Kingdom Hearts 3 were probably a little confused because it was a reference, very large reference to Union Key. So we know that the characters in Union Key are obviously going to be important because Nomura said so. Looking at you, Ephraim. That character is important apparently. But Union Key holds this, apparently the key, excuse me, it holds the key to Ventus's past, so it's required. And I don't know how I feel about that because it's a very strange game. It's very, very mobile. Like it's such a heavy mobile game. It really could not exist anywhere else as a fully functional game, and I have no idea how they're going to make this work, how they're going to re-release it, if at all. Are they going to make a different game that retells the entire story? It's not even done. When Kingdom Hearts 3 was released, like Unchained Key, or Union Key, excuse me, is still going. Like, there was just, the plot hasn't been finished, so we really don't know how it ties in with the whole Kingdom Hearts universe because it's not done. We haven't seen the ending to it. And Japan's further than us, and they still haven't seen the ending to it. So that was a very interesting decision to make, I think, with the Kingdom Hearts games. I would put it lower, but I do no, I'm not totally happy with the decision with Union Key. We disown them because they hurt us and sometimes scare us. Like, I like Kingdom Hearts, and I can play these other games. Even Chain of Memories. I would play Chain of Memories again. Union Key is very difficult to just do repeatedly. It's a cash grab. It is a very repetitive game. It's not hard to do the story mode. And that's kind of difficult to do, to live with, because when the story mode isn't hard, I could play it with my eyes closed. I really could. Just click, have the character go forward, live your best life. It's not difficult. So that's where that's going. Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't feel right putting Kingdom Hearts 3 in this area, and I think I am going to put it here. I'm almost tempted to put Kingdom Hearts 3 higher, but the story, the gameplay in Kingdom Hearts 3 is so good. It is so solid. The gameplay alone would probably be up in favorite child because I love the gameplay. If we were rating this just off of gameplay, Kingdom Hearts 3 would be up there with Birth by Sleep because the gameplay was really just phenomenal. Some people did not like it. Some people really didn't like all the colors and all of the stuff going on in the game. I'm not one of those people. I thought the gameplay was so fun. It gave some life to a hack and slash because let's be real, that's kind of what Kingdom Hearts 3 is. Just in general, Kingdom Hearts is a hack and slash. It gave some life. The story. Some worlds do not feel complete. I'm looking at Frozen. Some worlds barely recognize that Sora is even there. It doesn't feel like he has any impact. Like in previous games, you were playing through the story of that Disney movie, right? Like, that was kind of the point. You were there to experience the story of the movie. In Kingdom Hearts 3, some of them did not do that. I think the best world in Kingdom Hearts 3 was Toy Story. That was the one where you experienced the story the most. You have the greatest inclusion, and it felt so good. Toy Story wasn't even one of my favorite movies. I cried playing the Toy Story world. I really did. It surprised me. I was confused. Toy Story kind of scared me as a kid. And then I heard like the opening music and for some reason got super nostalgic and started crying. And then like the world was so long and you were with the characters. Frozen was such a major disappointment. It was so bad in Kingdom Hearts 3. You have almost no impact. The gameplay obviously I'm trying not to be too spoilery, but obviously, heads up, spoilers. In in the Pirates of the Caribbean world, it was such a mixture. The gameplay in the Pirates of the Caribbean world was so good. It was so fun. It was the pirate game we all want and need. But the story, you really have no impact on the world. Hardly anybody knows you're there for like 90% of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was over so quickly. And I was very sad because, I mean, granted, it was a weird movie, and how are you going to get involved in that? But like, it was a cool movie, you know? It was the climax of the whole Davy Jones storyline, and there were some cool moments in that movie. We just had no part of it. Just no part. We were really not there until the end, and then everyone was like, "Oh, I friggin' forgot you were here. Like, where have you been?" And Sora's like, "I don't even know." Um, but like, there's just a lot of stuff that was kind of a letdown in Kingdom Hearts 3, and don't even get me started on the ending and what they did to Kairi. Okay, like they did my girl super dirty. I saw Nipa say, he's a cosplayer on Twitter. He said she got fridged, and I learned what the word fridge means in terms of female characters or just characters in general, and that is literally the best way to describe it. She existed purely to be emotional turmoil for the main character, and her entire existence was nothing. She was supposedly being trained for I don't know how long by Yen Sid in a pocket time dimension that was completely separate from the real world of time, supposedly. And we never saw her train. We never saw her fight. The 1 second she had a chance to fight, she was dead useless. Even Axel was kind of fridged, I'm not gonna lie. Axel was done almost as dirty as Kairi. He was garbage. He got his butt handed to him within the first 5 seconds of fighting. He was as bad as Kairi. Like, Yen Sid, my man, why did you let them go? They sucked. Like, in a pocket dimension where time does not flow, these two did not learn how to fight. Like, I beg your pardon. So both my redheads were done dirty in Kingdom Hearts 3. Kairi was a doll. I have not played the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3 that was released where I guess Kairi is better. I don't know. I haven't played it. I was going to save it for when we eventually return to live streams, if ever. And yeah, that's my list. Honestly, it's just the story that puts Kingdom Hearts 3 here. I loved it. I had a good time. I cried a lot in Kingdom Hearts 3. I enjoyed the gameplay so much. I would 100% play it again. It just really did not feel finished. It did not, the story at least. Some of the worlds were, you barely existed. I felt lonely. There was no communication or any interaction between Sora and a lot of the characters. And kind of a spoiler, I'm upset because finally our three island trio, our three island babies are reunited, and the night before the big battle, Riku spends all the time on the beach talking to himself. That is absolutely not Riku. That is so out of character. He would have been desperate to spend time with Sora and Kairi. He has died almost for the both of them. He is the only person who remembered who Sora was, and he spent that time on the beach talking to himself as if that is not Riku. That's not my Riku. That is not how he is. No, I refuse. That made me so angry when it was showing all the characters, what they were doing. They weren't even hanging out together. I get that Sora and Kairi would want some time together because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who deny that it has not been explicitly said. But then again, this is a translated game from Japanese to English. So a lot of things that would be in Japanese that are cultural that would imply that they are together are not going to make it into English. They're the canon pairing, I'm pretty sure, is Sora and Kairi. Like, right? Like, we on the same page. Obviously, they're going to want some time together. But they would have also wanted to spend time with everyone else. And, like, maybe, I don't know, another 5 minutes with Riku rejoining them and hanging out with his best friends that he hasn't seen. And then he just... I don't even want to talk about the big spoiler at the very, 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 very end of the game, but Riku, like, just let Sora walk off. Okay, for those of you who have played it, you know what I'm talking about. What? Like, okay, and the fact that Kairi is, and Riku doesn't go with him? That's so out of character. It was so out of character, and I was angry after everything that Riku has done for Sora and Kairi, and then he was just like, it's just what he wants to do. Like, we should just let him do it. Bye. Have a good time, Sora. Catch you later. No, absolutely not. So that's why Kingdom Hearts 3 is so low. And actually, the more I talk, we're putting it down there. Okay? No, the only thing that saves Kingdom Hearts 3 is its gameplay. That's it. The gameplay was solid. The story sucked. I have a lot of feelings about Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously. And there's a lot of pent-up rage. At the time, I really did enjoy it overall, for the most part. But there were a lot of really out-of-character moments, I think. And they really made Sora into an idiot. Like, does anybody else feel like they did Sora a little dirty in Kingdom Hearts 3? Like, they made him dumb. And I mean, he was always kind of like a goofball airhead, but this is past airhead now. Like, he's just stupid now. Makes you feel kind of bad. Like, okay, he's like technologically challenged and also kind of an airhead, and everyone loves him for it. But Kingdom Hearts 3 was mean to him. It was just calling him stupid all the time. Even Riku, I was like, you stop that, okay? You stop that. Anyways, yeah. Let me know if you guys agree with my thoughts on Kingdom Hearts in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. This was the rant that I desperately needed. Bye.